Smoke gets in your
Honor. We appreciate what you've done for us. We shall cherish this moment.
Hello and good afternoon out there in YouTube land across the world, and especially to all the Platters fans out there. It's Ted E. Fame, former member of Tony Williams' Platters, from 1982 to 92, the year that he died. I actually was in the group when he died. Anyway, this is what my third or fourth vlog that I've recorded about my time being a member of the Platters. 10 years. 10 years worth of history, 10 years worth of stories, and 10 years worth of behind the scenes events that only a person that was a member of the group would know. Actually, I'm the last surviving member of Tony Williams' Platters. You know, everybody else. That's me in the beginning of this live. That's me in the middle. I had hair then. That was in 1980, 85 or 86. Good afternoon, Matt. Welcome aboard. Nice to see that you made it. You're here at the beginning. We're just getting started with it. I don't have a particular subject to speak about today. I'll just do some reminiscing. And Matt, if you have any questions, you really haven't asked me any questions, Matt. You have any questions about Tony specifically that I could answer? And remember, I can only answer questions about the time that I was a member of the group for the 10 years I was in the group from 82 to 92. And any other stories would be secondhand stories. But the stories about this is firsthand information coming from my mouth to you. I got a lot of memories. I'm gonna jump around a lot while talking because I'm not gonna stick on one particular subject because there's so many things I could talk about. And I'm not sure if there's a particular thing that you guys would probably want to hear about. Because actually, to be honest with you, not honest, but I'm just remembering, I do have a 10 series vlog that I've done. And each one of them talks about that particular year, the tour, who was on the tour, and what happened on that tour. So that's 10 videos, a 10 series vlog about the 10 years I was in the Platters, and each year talk about a different thing. So what I'll probably do today on this live for you guys, and probably what I'll continue doing when I go live, because I have 10 years worth of conversations to have with you guys. It's just to talk about random things that jumps into my head or that stood out and that I will share right now. So I guess our first thing I probably want to talk about is the first time we worked in New York City at the Beacon Theater on Broadway, New York, Manhattan. I was wondering, was Tony insecure about his singing voice as it was filled toward the end. It's like, oh, that's a good question, Matt. You know what? He never spoke about it. He never said how he felt. So I would say, I'm sure he was, but he never voiced it. And I'm saying I'm sure he was because he had to adjust the way he sung because he couldn't sing like the record anymore. So yeah, I'm sure he done. And I was the youngest member and I was the newest guy, so he probably talked to one of the older guys at some part before I got in the group. But he never spoke about how he felt about his singing. But like I said, you know, I can tell the way he sung the songs that he had to adjust how he would sing them because he couldn't sing them exactly the way he recorded them. So yeah, and I'm being a singer myself, of course. If I can't sing the songs the way I sung them on the record, the way you guys know it, and I have to alter any part of the song, I'm gonna be self-conscious about that. Yeah, so yeah, I definitely think that he was self-conscious about his singing. But again, he never spoke about it, or at least he never spoke to me about it. So he never said it one way or another. Whether he never said, "Hey, what do you think about my singing tonight? Do you think they like my singing tonight?" Never said that to me. So I hope that answered your question. What was I talking about? Oh, the Beacon Theater. The Beacon Theater in New York City on Broadway. You know, it's so funny because before I joined the Platters, I used to walk by that theater a lot. And every time I would walk by, I would read the billboard to see who the next coming attraction was, never thinking that one day I would be singing in that theater. Matter of fact, the first time I went to that theater, and that was before I joined the Platters, I think that was in 81 or 80. I went to see James Brown. Was James Brown, the Temptations, not the Temptations, but the two lead singers from David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks. James Brown, David Ruffin, and Eddie Kendricks. James Brown was a headliner, and David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks, they had their thing. They was going out as the former lead singers of the Temptations, and they would sing their lead songs that they led on the Temptations. And I think there was one song they did as a duet. So I went there specifically for James Brown because I had never seen him live. And James Brown was like probably my biggest inspiration even before Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was my main reason why. Because Michael Jackson is like a year older than me, so when he came out, when the Jackson 5 first came out, we was around the same age, so I automatically knew at that time that this is what I was going to be doing. But prior to that, I always admired James Brown. See, and the funny thing is, well, it's not a funny thing, but what dawned on me is that I'm more of an entertainer than a crooner. So you got the two types of singers. You got the entertainers and you got the crooners. The crooners just stand in front of the mic and just blow you away with their voice. The entertainers sing well and they move around well and dance well. So they have a more visual package. That's why they call it entertainers. So I'm more of an entertainer than a singer. And James Brown is exactly that. So James Brown was my original first inspiration. So the first time I ever went to the Beacon Theater to go inside was to see that show. So I was familiar with what the Beacon Theater looked like. And I think it was 83 or 84 when we actually played the Beacon Theater. And I remember how I was so gassed for it because, like I said, I used to walk by the theater all the time, and I would just look on the post on the billboard, see who's going to be performing there. And a lot of times it'd be acts that I was familiar with. And, you know, like I said, never thinking that one day I would be singing there. And that was the time, I can tie this together because that was the time where my mother and two of my brothers came to see me sing with the Platters. That was the first. They saw me a couple of times, but that was the first time they saw me sing with the Platters at the Beacon Theater in Manhattan. And who was on that show? I think the Del Vikings. Now, this is a long time ago, so I might not remember exactly everything. I'm trying to be as correct as possible. I think the Del Vikings, Lou Christie, Leslie Gore, and maybe the Drifters or the Coasters, one of the two of those. And so on that show, all we did was the hits. We only did like 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes. We just did the hits. Tony sung all the songs. So none of the other guys, me included, sung a lead. It was just the hits. And great story, because I remember I got my mom's tickets, and my family some tickets, and then I got them some backstage passes so they can come backstage, right? And my mom's seat was like maybe 10 rows deep in dead center, and I'm in the middle. So it's like I could see her. And we're doing the show, and like I think after we did The Great Pretender, and the audience was clapping, and she jumped up clapping. She said, that's my son Teddy right there. That's my son Teddy. Oh man, I was so embarrassed. I said, sit down. No, sit down. I remember that. That was so embarrassing. But she was proud of me because the Platters was a group that she grew up with. So she was probably a fan of and familiar with the songs. And for her son to actually be singing in the group, that was like the icing on the cake, probably for her. And she was like a kid in the candy store backstage because she got to meet all the other acts that she knew, familiar with. And I introduced her to all the other acts, and that was backstage. And I was just, it was funny watching her talk to like guys in the Del Vikings or the Drifters, and I introduced her to Tony Williams, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm a big fan. I like all your music." I said, "Come on, man, you know you lying," but I ain't saying it in front of him. But that's my mom, so I could talk like that to her. Yeah, that was a little thing I remember. I wanted to talk about. That's the beginning. On the Beacon Theater, like I said, I joined the group in '82. So like I said, was that '83 or '84? We was at the Beacon Theater. I knew I was still new. I wasn't singing lead yet. I didn't start singing. They didn't start letting me sing a lead song until maybe about '85, around '85. Great story about that too. We were in West Palm Beach, Florida. We were in West Palm Beach, Florida. Yeah, my mom sure did. Was starstruck. Yes, she was. This is a great story about how they let me sing lead. You're gonna love this story, man. We were in West Palm Beach, Florida. And that was a show where we did by ourselves. There was no other acts on the show, so we had about an hour hour 15, hour 20 minutes. And this was around 1986. And like I said, by that time, they allowed me to sing one of these songs. So they let me sing the song called Wash the Shore. Sonny Turner made that song popular in 1968. So although Tony wasn't in the group, it was a Platters song. So because it was a Platters song, one of the Platters sung it, not Tony. And they happened to assign that song to me. And I liked that song. It was a uppy song. How I go, wash the shore on a lonely island in the sea. Wash the shore on a lonely island in the sea. Yeah, so that was a song they finally let me sing lead on back in '85 when I sang it. So that particular night, we all got to sing. And then Tony would close with my prayer. That was our closer, right? So this was a sold out audience. We was at some theater. I don't ask me the name. I don't know the name of the theater. We had some theater. And we're the only act on the show with an hour, 15 hours, 20 minutes. And it was sold out. And after we left, the crowd was, they didn't want, but we didn't have any more songs because we did every song. And it just so happens that the guitar player, the bass player, and the drummer, I worked with them before in Manhattan at little clubs down in the Village. So I had prior knowledge of them. I mean, I knew them before, and when they joined the play, I was like, oh yeah, because you know we used to change musicians all the time. But our main core was Tony, Helen, me, Ricky, and Bob. And sometimes George Reed, the other bass singer, would take Bob's place. But we would alternate musicians constantly. It depends on where we're going, on what tour it was. So this time, somehow these guys got booked with us to be part of the band. And it just so happened that at this club down in Manhattan, I used to do this song by the Isley Brothers called Shout. And it used to go really well, you know, people liked it. So when the Platters, when we left, after we sung my prayer and we left the stage, right? We want more, you know. So the band was still out there. The group had left, but the band was still out there. So the guitar player said, Teddy, because I came back. We went to the dressing room, right? Everybody else went to the dressing room. But I stopped and I turned around because the band was doing the end of the song. So I like to listen to the band. And when the band stopped playing end of the song, then that's when the crowd was like, we want more. So the guitar player said, Teddy, hey, come do Shout. And like, I was like, damn, should I do that? Because the show's over, they might get mad at me for doing it. I said, what the hell? So I went out there, hit the song. Well, yeah. The place went crazy. You know, you make me wanna, and we went into the song, the people was doing the shout. I looked to my right, the Platters that came out the dressing room, they was standing on the side, they was clapping out. And then they came back out with me, and we finished the song together, and it was like a great experience. I mean, they never had the crowd do what I did when I did that song, because they ain't nobody in the group could sing that song like that. And it went over so well that Tony and the manager said, that song is in the act. That's gonna be our closer every night. That's our closer right there. That song is in the act. Wow. So that's a coincidence. I just remember about that song, Shout. That's a coincidence. Wow, you brought that together. Yep, I brought them out there, and it was funny because, Matt, like I said, we didn't rehearse a song with the Platters, but because I had previously sung the song with the guitar player, bass player, and the drummer, they knew it, and the keyboard player could pick up anything. He just know the key, and he'll fill in and stuff. But the basic unit, the bass guitar and drums, they knew it, and they knew how I sung it because they sung with me. So it was like we rehearsed it. Only the Platters never sung with me. So I was worried that they might be upset, thinking that, what you trying to do? Take over the show? You the star now? But nah, it just so happens they wanted a song like that in the show to give it, because you know the Platters are like a ballad group. They sing, all their hits are basically ballad. So a song like that with that kind of energy is exactly what they needed in a show when we were performing by ourselves when nobody else is on the show, and we have to do like an hour and a half or something like that. So we all have to fill in. So now I got 2 songs to sing in the show. And besides Tony, I sung them the most songs out of everybody else. And after a few years of doing that, they actually made it a part of the show where they featured me. And that's where I showed you my last thing about Singapore, when I showed you that, hey, I'll get it again, because this is important. This is important. Oh, this is important. Let me fix this. Okay. So that's when that's where this comes in. That's where this comes in. This is the newspaper article they wrote about the Platters, the Coasters, and the Drifters in Singapore in 1991. And that's me. I'm sorry. That's me. That's me in the middle. That's me in the middle. That's Tony. That's the lead singer for the Coasters, the Drifters. And that's me, Teddy Fame. Now, why do they have a picture of me and Tony and nobody else in the group? Because I sung Shout that night, and that's me singing Shout right there. You know, I had already took my jacket off, opened my shirt, and took my tie off, and that's me singing Shout. And it was because of that performance that the owner of the club in Singapore offered me the job to come back when I'm not singing with the Platters. And I had already told you about that story when I told you when Tony died. So that was 91 when we went out there. And then I went back out there and did that. And I talked about that already, but yeah, just tying that all together. That was, I just remembered that, tied that all together. So that's when Shout, and at that point in 91, Shout was like the headliner song. I mean, that was a song that, I mean, they used to say, okay, right now we're gonna feature Teddy Fame in the group, and he's gonna do this song that's gonna shake up the audience, and everybody's gonna go crazy. So fasten your seatbelts, but he's about to sing Shout. And the crowd's like, oh yeah. And then I go into the song, oh man. And I could build it up like Elvis. I'll go to the band. Before I sing, right? So big build up. The band, that's the band. That's not me. That's the band making the holding that note. You know. You see how I'm smiling because now that's some great times. I had so much, and that's the time, you know, also to tie into another story. People used to tell me when I sung that song, Tony used to be on the side of the stage and he used to just be standing there watching me and just smiling. And people say, you should see Tony just look at you smiling. And he's so proud of you. And but I never noticed it because, I'm out there looking at the audience and I'm putting on the show, so I'm not looking behind me, so I don't know what Tony's doing. But people say they watch the show and they watching Tony watching me. Man, that made me feel so good to hear that, man. Just to be honest with you, to hear that Tony really enjoyed and appreciate my singing and performance. So that was kind of cool, man. And it's funny. I never asked Tony about that. I just was thankful that and grateful that he would see me like that. And 10 years in that group, man. 10 years. We went everywhere. Went all around the world. So yeah, that's the story how Shout became a part of the Platters repertoire, live show repertoire. And I remember one time in in Aruba. We was in Aruba. And that was the time when we was booked there for a month. And it was at this 5-star hotel called the Golden Tulip. I'll never forget that place. And they had like a little gambling casino there. First time I ever gambled. And played the slot machine. And I won $250 on the slot machine. I couldn't believe it. And I freaking lost all of it playing blackjack. That quick. That's okay. Easy come, easy go, huh? What was I saying? So we was booked at the one thing, the fun part about being booked for extended period of time is that you're not traveling around. You got that one spot, that one club, and they had at the hotel we were staying at, they had a theater there, a club theater there. So it was booked out for it was sold out every day for the whole month, or 5 days a week for the whole month. And we were staying in the hotel, so all we had to do was walk out our rooms and walk to the club and do our shows. And I would say that was one of the few times, and you know what? That was 1986. That was 1986, and I remember why it was 86 because that was the year that Sugar Ray Leonard, no, 86 or 87, maybe 87, I'm sorry. That was the year that Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler fought. And we got to watch it at the hotel on closed circuit. What you say, man? Tony saw you as a musical son. He's so proud. Yeah, you're probably right. I agree with you. You're probably right. And I would think, that was because what was I saying? I lost track of myself. Oh, Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler. That's why I know it was. So whatever year was that, 86 or 87, whatever year that was that they fought for the middleweight championship, that was the year, and we was in Aruba. And so that's why I can remember at that time. And that was the time, that was the first time I ever saw Tony pissy ass drunk that he passed out on stage. And that only happened, we booked there for a month, right? And the reason I'm saying that because Shout, I would do Shout every night at the end, right? And they loved it, man. I mean, people would write one of my autograph and everybody loved me. And the reason I'm saying that is because we got booked because a guy who owned a club in Miami, Florida, in Miami Beach, one of those 50 clubs here, I forgot the name of right on the beach. He had a club in the hotel right on the beach. Forgot the name of it. But he booked us there, and he said to me, and later on, that he booked us there because of me. Matter of fact, this is a crazy thing that happened there. When we got to Miami, Florida, he had a limo for the Platters and a limo for me. I'm just saying, man, so many experiences, you know. So I'm gonna be jumping around all over the place talking about all these things. And getting back to Aruba, just to touch on, not to leave you at cliffhanger with Tony. So Tony always have to have a drink, or he can't perform, or he refused to perform. So we have to make sure that he don't drink too much that he can't perform. So what the road manager would do, he would cut Tony's alcohol by pouring out and filling it up with more water. You were turning into the David Ruffin of the group, huh? Yes, I was, the David Ruffin of the group. The David Ruffin of the group. That's funny you said that. I got some story about that too, between me and one of the members of the group who was jealous because I was getting more attention than anybody else besides Tony. And they was in the group longer than me, and I was getting more attention, way more attention than them. So getting back to that drinking story. So Tony, for some reason, he got hit to that they was cutting his drink, and he ordered his own drink, and he ordered it straight, and he must have drunk. I'm sure you know what? Come to think about it, and now I remember it because I saw it for the first time. Tony would carry a flask, one of those flasks with alcohol, a little silver one, and he would carry his jacket. And the first time I saw it, it kind of caught me off guard. But then, putting two and two together, he always had a drink with him. So now he's drinking that, plus whatever he was drinking prior. Well, that particular night, he had too much to drink. And we didn't get through the first song. The band played, we came out on stage, we facing the audience. Luckily, the stage wasn't like up, it was like on the floor, where the band was part of the stage was up, but where the singer was singing at, we was like on the floor, on the dance floor, so they had the mics up there. I'm in the middle, Tony's on the end, the female's between me and Tony. I'm in the middle, the baritone singer and then the bass singer. So I saw from my parochial vision, Tony swaying like this. And I looked over and I'm saying, oh shit, this man is about to pass out. Sure enough, we didn't finish that song before he said, bam! And if you know anything about how drunk people fall, they don't even try to catch themselves. He just fell, bam, and hit his head. You heard, pow! And he was knocked out. The band stopped playing. We picked him up and carried him off stage and took him to the dressing room. And then we came out and finished the show. Actually, I had to sing Only You and Smoke Gets in Your Eye that night. First time I had to sing the songs, right? Can you believe that? Because Tony was passed out. He had a big knot on his head because he had, man, that was so embarrassing. That was so embarrassing, man. And to see those people reaction, but they were so kind and nice. They were just worried, is Tony okay? Is Tony okay? And they was telling me how great I was to be able to carry on the show when that happened. So I felt good about that, but I felt terrible about that. So I got about a handful of stories similar to that in my 10 years of being in the Platters concerning Tony's drinking and his performance on stage and the results of that because of his drinking. Yeah, I got a few of those stories. We won't talk 10 years of it. So we got through it. And you know what's funny? We had a show the next day. That sucker did one of his best shows that next day. One of his best shows for the whole month that we was there, the next day. He was singing his behind off, man. He had the people. I'm like, this dude right here, man. You know, I'm starting to remember some stuff now. You know, talking to you, Matt, and to all you Platters fans out there is great because I got all these memories and stuff and all these private, intimate moments with Tony Williams. And a lot of intimate moments was just me and Tony together and nobody else around. That I could, you know, I would love to share with you guys if y'all interested in hearing about this stuff because I know when I'm a fan of an artist, I want to hear all the stories about them. I want to know everything. So if I'm right, some of you Platters fans are like myself and y'all want to hear all the juicy stories and all the stories. So I'm going to be sharing a lot. I'm going to share everything. I'm going to go, eventually, I'm going to write a book. So right now I'll do a vlog and that'll be the precursor to my book, what you wrote. Tony must have gotten embarrassed by his fall the previous night and must have straightened together. You know what? Did he get embarrassed? Only he could say, because Tony never really shared his emotions, well, at least not with me. I'm sure because the lady in the group was his wife, and she was also the manager of the group. So they lived together. So I'm sure they talked about all that stuff. But Tony is a pro. He's been doing this for a long time. So he understands the show must go on because they paying us. They're giving us a place to live because we live in the hotel that we performing in and they feeding us. They're doing everything for us. So the show has to go on. What you wrote, Matt? If you wrote a book, I'll buy it 100%. Oh, thank you, my man. Thank you very much. I hope a lot of you Platters fans will buy it too when I write it. But yeah, Tony he was a real consummate pro. He knew what it takes. It's sad that alcohol ruined him because I'm sure that's exactly what ruined him, his career and his solo career. I'm 100% sure it's alcohol related because he wasn't a responsible person. He didn't handle any business. He didn't care about money or business, none of that stuff. His wife did all that stuff. But he was the man. So if I'm Tony Williams, I'm handling, you know, I'm concerned about my business and all that stuff. But success probably came to them, the overwhelming success. Because that's like a needle in a haystack to be the lead singer of the most famous group of the 50s. He never thought in a million years that he would be the one to be known. And look, we're still talking about him, 30 years, 20 years, almost 30 years after he died, we're still talking about him. So there's no handbook on how to conduct yourself or how to, you know, respond to people. You know, you gotta remember, these guys these are black people during segregation time in America. So opportunities were very limited. So ambition and expectation was probably non-void because Tony was working at car wash when he joined the Platters. And the only reason Tony even had an opportunity to join the Platters because Tony, his sister Linda Hayes, was living out here in California, and she told him he was back on the East Coast in New Jersey after he came out of the Army, and she told him he should bring his butt to California because there's probably a good chance he can, do something with his singing. That's why he got lucky to have that opportunity, but he didn't know. Nobody know that they was gonna be that big or have hit records and stuff like that. And coming from that environment, I don't know anything about his life before the Platters, but I'm assuming he probably had the drinking problem from being in the Army. I think he was in the Army during the Korea War time. So I think maybe that's when he started drinking. And I think the drinking, I know one thing about drinking and alcohol. I got a few in my family. My father's an alcoholic. And my father, it's funny because my father and Tony's around the same age. So my father was in the military exactly the same time Tony was in the military. So I'm sure that, and they come from the same kind of environment. Before they would come from, my father's from New York, from the hood. Tony's from New Jersey, from the hood. Tony never dreamed he would have achieved such greatness with his singing. Yep, it was all luck of the draw, Matt. Nobody knew. Elvis didn't know. Nobody knew they was gonna be that. So even Elvis couldn't handle success. Don't forget, Elvis died at 42. Tony died at 64. And those were the two biggest groups of the 50s. Elvis Presley and the Platters were the two biggest names in the 50s. Only difference was, one was, and the other was, one was black and one was white. And you know what goes along with that. So Tony never had people looking out for his best interests, I'm sure, back then. So he overindulged. And I can tell you about being an entertainer, overindulging is very easy to do. Because first of all, when you perform in the nightclubs, even if you don't want to drink, people want to buy you a drink. And people are insulted if you don't accept their drinks. And then you got to socialize with people because it's good publicity and it's good for record sales. So you start night after night in that lifestyle, and I'm telling you, that's a life of people. Entertainers don't live long, especially touring entertainers who constantly travel and constantly perform. They don't live long because they end up dying from illnesses that was brought on from their occupation. And it's usually drugs and alcohol. Tobacco, drugs, and alcohol. And bad eating. Tobacco, drugs, alcohol, and bad eating and not taking care of your body is the downfall of most successful, not all, most successful entertainers. Did Tony's sister ever record these songs, or did she get? Linda Hayes, look her up. Linda Hayes, Tony Williams' sister, Linda Hayes, look her up. I think she was Buck Rams with her manager, the same Buck Rams who managed the Platters. That's how Tony met Buck Rams, through her. So Google Linda Hayes. You can find out for yourself, because I don't want to say something that I'm not sure about. I think she did have a record or two, but I'm not totally sure. So as I was saying about not being prepared for that, and then for that kind of success that they had, and he was the main reason, his voice was the reason they had that success, I'm sure. Because also, don't forget, Tony wasn't a young guy when he became famous, Tony was almost 30. He was like 27 when in 1955 when Only You came out. So Tony was almost 30 years old when they started having success. So I'm sure he was like reveling in that success and overindulging. I saw an article somewhere where I think in 1959 the 4 guys were accused of having inappropriate relations with a young girl. They were found not guilty, but it tarnished their reputation. And that was probably around the time when Tony was about to leave the group. But nobody's prepared for that kind of success. And then a lot of people don't know how to handle that kind of success. And I'm sure because of that bad lifestyle is what derailed Tony. And like I said, he didn't have nobody in his corner looking out for his best interests back in the day that might have kept him on track when he was falling off track. So a lot of that can contribute to that. So, and being around him for so many years and talking to him and finding out, asking him a lot of questions, I sort of came to my conclusion in that myself and those are lessons I learned. And although I never got the success or popularity that Tony had, maybe if I had, I probably would have fell in that same boat. He was 27 when he got famous. I was 22 when I joined the Platters. But we weren't recording anymore, so I didn't have an opportunity to record. And I didn't really start recording my own music until years after I left the Platters. So I'm the kind of entertainer that was in between being successful and then being just average. You know, I was in between because I was able to ride off the success. I was able to ride off the relations of being a member of the Platters. So a lot of the promoters and club owners knew me. So I was able to get bookings on my own after I left the Platters. What's this? Just look her up. She had a few top 10 hits. Yep, see, there you go. In the 50s. She died in 1998. She died after Tony, Linda Hayes. So there you go. There you go, man. You the authority on the 50s music, man. You know everything. So all I gotta do is refer to you, say, Matt, go check it out. You're gonna find out. Where was I? Oh, so that was that. So getting back to my time with Tony, from 1982 to 92. What's another time? Oh, the first time we ever did. Oh, this is great. The first time we did a show where I was starstruck was 1986. And we were in Atlanta, Georgia at the Omni Arena. I think that's what it's called. And the Platters, Benny King, and Ray freaking Charles. Oh my God, I'm gonna be on stage with Ray Charles. Man, I was starstruck. Sit back, y'all gonna love this story. So now, we all got a dressing room, but our dressing room lead to the stage. And since, and I'm assuming because Ray Charles is blind, he had the dressing room closest to the stage, so he can come out his dressing room and go straight to the stage, or we all had to come from down the hall. So we had to walk by Ray Charles' dressing room, whatever act is going on to perform. It says Ray Charles was the headliner. That's another thing. That was one of the few times where we weren't the headliner. Ray Charles was the headliner. So Ray Charles leaves his door open, and because he's blind, I guess. And so you walk by, you can peek in, and you know some of the acts that knew Ray were peeking and say, "Ray, how you doing, buddy?" Somebody from Benny King talked to Ray. Even Tony talked to Ray. So we go on stage and we do our show. And then we come off stage. There was another act next, and then Ray was going to come out. So I went to the dressing room, and then I changed clothes, and I came back out, and I was going to walk up to the stage just to look at who else was performing. But I just walked by Ray Charles' room, and he was still sitting there. I could see him sitting in front of the mirror. This was crazy. Ray Charles is sitting in front of the mirror. Now, he's blind, but he's sitting in front of the mirror, all his makeup and stuff on. This is some of the stuff I saw I can't even explain. So I'm looking in the dressing room, Ray Charles sitting there. So I said, "Hey, Mr. Ray, this is Teddy. I'm the singer with the Platters." He said, "Boy, I know you are. I heard you from here. You're sounding great. Keep on doing your thing." I said, "Oh, wow. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much." And I got out there real quick. Ray Charles said he heard me sing. Ray Charles said he heard me sing and he liked it. He told me to keep doing my thing. You couldn't talk to me after that. I was legit from that point on. You couldn't even tell me nothing after that. Ray Charles told me he heard me singing. He said, "I sound good." Yes. Great moment. Yeah, gotta brag a little bit, all right? Matter of fact, I started playing piano because of Ray Charles. So I play piano now because of Ray Charles. You know, I got some videos of me on my channel with me playing a couple of Ray Charles songs. I think I was playing What I Say. Go look at that and tell me what you think. I did the whole. I played What I Say. Look up Teddy Fame, What I Say, and you're gonna see me playing, just me singing and playing piano. Hey Matt, check that one out. It's on my channel. Teddy Fame singing What I Say by Ray Charles. Look, check it out, Matt, when you get a chance. Check out that video. I'm playing piano and singing. You can't tell me I wasn't Ray Charles, buddy. You couldn't tell me I wasn't Ray Charles. So yeah, I was so inspired by Ray Charles. You see, I'm just telling you moments. You know, I'm going to be jumping around from this year to that year to this year. Oh, got another great moment. You're going to love this one too, man. This was 1988. And they brought us out here. They had this big, check it out, baby. They had this big festival out here. Matter of fact, it was out here in LA, and I think it was the precursor to Coachella, because there wasn't no Coachella. It was out in Riverside, and it was out in the Mojave Desert in Riverside, right? And it was free, and it was for 3 days. And they built a stage out there, and they had jazz, country, and rock and roll. And everybody, I wish I could remember the name of that show. And it was 3 days, and they built the whole thing, right? And everybody who had a hit record from the 50s or early 60s on that show. And we headlined, and the Righteous Brothers, we followed the Righteous Brothers. Everybody, Bo Diddley, Jerry Lee Lewis, Chuck Berry, everybody was on that show, man. Now, here's the thing. Y'all gonna love it. I got time today. Y'all got time to hear some stories? I got some stories. So here's the thing. This is one of the few times that we stayed in motels, and I was like, we come out here to do this big show with all these famous people, and they got us in motels? Well, here's the reason why they had us in motels. This motel was close to where we was gonna be performing at, and they had a gigantic parking lot. The parking lot was big as a mall. The parking lot was so big. They rented 3 helicopters. The helicopters land in the hotel parking lot. We come out of our rooms, jump in the helicopter. Now, Tony and his wife refused to ride the helicopter, so they went over by limousine. But the rest of us, or whoever wanted to go, a couple of acts. I don't think Bo Diddley wanted to fly in a helicopter. I think Benny King and Jerry Lee Lewis, they also didn't want to go in a helicopter. I think they all took limousines. But you had your choice. You can either fly in a helicopter or you can take a limo. So we get in the helicopter and we fly over the concert site, and then we land backstage. And then we jump out the helicopter and we run on stage and we do our set. And since it had so many outlets on there, we're only doing the hits. And and on that show, we only did the number ones. So we had 4 number ones. So we did the number ones. And everybody who's familiar with the Platters know the number ones. From 1955 to 1960, from 1955 to 1959, they had a number 1 hit every year. So we did the hits. And the thing that I want to get to in the story that's striking about the story is when we got back out, finished the stage and got back on the helicopter and we flew back over, and I looked down and I saw this sea of people. And I felt, wow, this must be what the Beatles felt like when they went to Shea Stadium. It was like a Beatles moment. And I never forget that story. So that's another one I'm going to share with you. I never told that story. I never told that story to anybody before. That's going to be in my book. And I'm sharing that story with y'all. That's great. This is great. I enjoyed this. And welcome to anybody else who's joining the conversation. It's been almost an hour. I'll be on here for about 20, 30 more minutes. Not too much longer. So, but I'll be back. I got 10 years worth of stories. So yeah, that was a great event. Oh, here's one that I'm gonna tell you about. And this one, fortunately enough, there's a video, and part of the video is on the intro of this live, but it's the one performance that we did for Showtime Rock and Roll Classic Reunion. And I have the whole show on my channel, and it's called Showtime Classic Rock and Roll Reunion. And everybody's on that show, and it was filmed live in New York City. And everybody from Benny King, not Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, Wilson Pickett, Leslie Gore, Jerry Lee Lewis, the Coasters, the Drifters, Benny King, the Platters. I mean, this must have been like Gary U.S. Bond. It must have been about 15, 20 acts on that show. And it was filmed for Showtime. It's called Showtime Classic Rock and Roll Reunion. It's the class of 1963. And that's on my channel. So go check that video out. And you'll see all the other artists. And then what I did was took a clip of our performance. We sung Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. So you can also find that particular performance on my channel. By the way, while you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, because it helped me out, guys. You know, I'm doing this for you Platters fans, and I'm not asking for anything in return, but if you can like and subscribe to my channel, it helped me out greatly, so I appreciate that. Oh, hold on a second. I've been on this thing for so long, and I forgot that I'm getting so engaged talking to you guys, and I forgot that I wanted to set my computer. I got my computer right here, so I can actually see me talking to you guys. And now my computer wanna act funny. What's going on, computer? Come on now. Give me a second, guys. Give me one second. I'll get right back to you. I lost my internet connection. Why did I lose my internet connection? Oh, there we go. It's back. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Give me a second. We'll be right back. I'll be right back. Oh, I want it. There it is. I just want to watch myself watching you guys. Oh, talk about a few more things. A few more episodes I'll talk about. Let's talk about Jamaica. So we're booking Jamaica for 10 days. And we're booking Kingston, Ocho Rios, and Montego Bay. And that was a New Year's Eve show. We did a few New Year's Eve shows. I got another story where we did a New Year's Eve show. This is a crazy lineup. Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, the Ohio Players, and the Platters. Can you imagine that? That was a New Year's Eve show we did in Washington, D.C. in 1987, I think. And each act had their own following, and the place was sold out. And that show, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Wait a minute, do I have any? I usually have pictures of a lot of that stuff. And I'm looking on, this is my wall of fame. My wall of fame here. I'll show you my wall of fame. This is my wall of fame. All my pictures on there. My wall of fame. All right, so I'll let you see my wall of fame. So I was looking to see if I had a picture of, I think I got a picture somewhere of that performance. I don't have a video or anything, but I'm sure I got a picture, because we were in a dance routine. You know what? I'm going to find it after I finish talking to you guys. Watch. I know it. I must have took it down. And what I remember about that show was we weren't the headliners, and that's one of the few times where we're not the headliners. Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes were the headliners. But the Ohio Players opened up the show. Now, the Ohio Players, this is another time I wasn't really starstruck, but this was my era. That group was from my era in the 70s, early 70s. That's when I was loving that kind of music. So Sugarfoot was still in the group. Diamond on drums was still in the group. And I also like Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, but this was in the late 80s. Teddy Pendergrass had already had his car accident. So they had this guy in the group. It's a great story. And it was sold out. So like I said, Ohio Players opened up, and they did all the hits. Skin Tight, Roller Coaster, Fire. It was great. Then we came out and we did all our hits. And then Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes came out. And like I said, I got some pictures of us backstage, and we all took pictures. If I find those pictures on my next live, I'll show it to you guys on my next live. If I find those pictures somewhere, I gotta look for them. They're somewhere. I got so many pictures. That's another thing I did. I tried to document as much stuff that I could, because I know a lot of this stuff was a once in a lifetime opportunity. So many memories on that wall, Matt. So many. There's pictures of me singing with Chaka Khan. Pictures of me and George Benson. Who else? So much. Where is this? Anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked. Any more? I'm going to give y'all maybe one or two more stories. No, I'm going to give you one more. We got to give you something to come back for. Oh, so no, let me continue about the New Year's Eve. So that was a New Year's Eve in Washington, D.C. And then after the Platters and Harold Melvin. So they had a guy in Harold Melvin and Blue Notes that looked and sound just like Teddy Pendergrass. I don't know where they found this guy up, but he had the beard like Teddy Pendergrass. He had that Teddy Pendergrass sweater. Those women was going crazy for this dude. That was my first time actually seeing a woman throwing their drawers on the stage. I actually saw it for that dude. I was like, oh man, do that for me. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. No, I'm not. Do that for me too. Unfortunately, that never happened for me. No woman ever threw her panties on stage for me. There it goes. So I got it out. So what? I had a lot of the other perks though. Trust me. Being a member of the Platters, I had a lot of perks that I would have never, ever had I not been a member of that group. So I'm thankful. Trust me, I'm very, very thankful for that time I spent with that group. I'm looking at myself. Hey, this looks good. You know, that's a good camera. It's, the lighting is good. Everything is good. I'm in my bedroom. Filming from my bedroom here in Los Angeles. My temporary room. I'll be moving soon. Actually, I'm going to Africa. Actually, I'm going 2 places. This summer, I'm going to take a trip to Nairobi in Kenya. And I'm going to take a trip to Pattaya in Thailand. So I'm going to do a little bit of traveling. Very good stream setup. Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm going to do that this summer. I just got, this is my 4th passport that I have. I had 3 passports. I filled them all up from all the time. Man, we went everywhere in the Platters. The only place that I had not gone was Australia and Africa. We went to every place in Europe, every place in the Caribbean, and damn near every country in Asia, so we went everywhere. And I'm sure they were I think they even went to Russia, but I wasn't in the group there. So I'm sure there was other places they went to back in the 50s and 60s that I could only imagine, I know Tony and the manager did tell me they had a slow moment during the 70s was probably their slowest period. When I joined the group in 82, around 84 or 85, there was this big explosion for 50s rock and roll. It was, I think, because 2 things happened. I think Phil Collins had a hit record out. He had a Motown record out, You Can't Hurry Love. But Diana Ross had a remake of Frankie Lyman's Why the Fools Fall in Love. And I think that movie, I don't know, did that movie about Frankie Lyman come out then too? I know for some reason there was a big resurgence for doo-wop, oldies, 50s music. And we started working like from 1985 to like 1991. We was constantly on the road. I mean, that's when a lot of my fantasies came true. I mean, on tour buses, we had a tour bus. We had a tour bus. You know how when I was a little kid, I always imagined being on a tour bus. We had a tour bus traveling through the States. And we went through everywhere in the United States on that tour bus. But when we was going from coast to coast, we flew. Like from New York. We was based in New York. So we would fly close to close. What you got there, Matt? Ross had Frankie's hit in 1980. Oh, it was 81? The Lyman movie came out in 98. Oh, see? That's how I'm way off. But I know there was a resurgence. It was a resurgence for the 50s music in the mid 80s. And because we got a lot of work. The work just picked up. I mean, we had so much work. We was constantly on the road. That's when my passport started getting, you know how much freaking flyer miles I got? I had so much freaking flyer miles. I could, and I took advantage of a lot of that stuff, Wow, man, this is fun talking to you guys about all this stuff. But we're running out of time now. I don't want to say everything at one time. What happened with my telephone? Sorry for that. Hold up a second. Oh, it was overheating. I don't want my phone to overheat. Once again, my name is Ted E. Fame. I'm a former member of Tony Williams' Platters. I sung second tenor in the group. I was the guy in the middle from 1982 to 1992. I got videos on my channel, on this channel, so you can go to the Platters section on my playlist, and you can find the videos and all that stuff pertaining to the Platters. Also, I got my own music on the same channel, and I also have videos of me when I was on tour as a solo artist in Asia, performing over in Singapore and Japan. They love me over there. I mean, Asia loved me. I ended up spending 10 years living in Asia. Hontou ni boku wa nihongo sharimasu. I stayed so long, I speak Japanese now. Well, I used to. I probably lost a lot. Because I came back to America in 2000. I haven't left America since 2000. But for some reason, I still remember a lot of Japanese. I forgot a lot, but I still remember a lot. I'm amazed I could still speak some Japanese. Anyway, Any more stories? No, I don't want to talk about any more stories right now because I want to save some for the next time. Thanks for the stream, Mr. Fame. I'll be emailing. All right, Matt. Yeah, give me the. You can email me the stuff. I can't wait to hear your stuff, man. So email me your stuff. I love hearing new artists and what they're doing, and also to everybody else on live listening to me talking. I was welcome to my channel. I'm Teddy Fame, and for all you Platters fans, everything you want to know about Tony Williams' life from 1982 to 1992, you're on the right state. You're on the right place. I'm the last surviving member of Tony Williams Group, and I can tell you everything between that period of time. I can't tell you anything before that because I wasn't there, and anything I tell you before that was secondhand information that was given to me, or I asked questions and was told to me, but I wasn't there, so I can't verify it. All I can verify is everything that happened between 1982 and 1992, where I was a member of the group and I saw it with my own two eyes. And I got a lot of stories to share with you about what I saw with my own two eyes. So I want to welcome you guys. Please subscribe and like my page and keep coming back. I will be going live at least maybe once, twice a week. Keep you up to date on Platters stuff. So I know there's still a lot of Platters fans out there in the world. I know there's a lot of Platters fans in Australia, and especially in Europe, and especially in Asia, because we were touring there a lot. I don't know, what was that noise in the background, man? We got some noisy people, neighbors here making some crazy ass noise. I was like, what the hell was that myself? You heard that too, huh? Anyway, I'm gonna sign off now and invite you to come back. I will post the schedule and let you know when I'm up and have it. You guys be prepared. So when I do go live, you know I'm going live. And once again, Matt, you know, you're my buddy, man. You're my buddy. You're my buddy. So thanks for hanging with me. And for all you new guys that are checking out my page, I hope that you all come back too, okay? That's okay. Until next time, Teddy Fame, former member of Tony Williams Platters, want to say thank you and good night. See you again.